to the chat room and we're gonna get chatty. Typity. Okay, so here's what's going to happen. Sean Hollister from CNET is going to pop in here any minute now and join us to talk about stuff. So we'll keep an eye on that. Oh, there he is. It's like I summoned him. Beetlejuice.
Hey, here's
Sean
video.
Hollister. All right. Hey, Sean.
Hey, how's it going? Is it too loud in the background?
No, it's not too bad.
Great.
If you want to leave the video on, you can, or you can turn it off. It's up to you.
Oh, up to you. If it's not too distracting, I'm just in the CNET break room right now. Probably find a different position.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I like the tree. Oh, look at that.
Oh, made some changes.
That's
yeah.
That's what was the name of that conference room, Veronica?
Magma.
That's Magma. Wow.
You also have a seat over in this way by the window. That's not too bright.
Yeah.
Maybe something like this.
No, it all looks good. Better.
Let me grab my bag.
Better than expected.
We're live, but are we live?
We are live. Yes.
Live. Excellent. Hello, everybody.
Hence the live part.
It does say that at the corner of my screen too. Kind of a dead giveaway.
Good. I'm glad it alerts you. I was kind of counting on that. All right. So if you're ready, we're ready.
Absolutely.
Here we Senior. Okay, got it. Here we go.
Daily Tech News Show is powered by its audience, not outside organizations. To find out how you can help power the show, visit dailytechnewsshow.com/support.
This is the Daily Tech News for Monday, June 26, 2017. I'm Tom Merritt. Joining me, as she does most Mondays, Ms. Veronica Belmont, host of IRL, the new podcast from Mozilla. How goes it, Veronica?
I feel like I have a laugh track in the background. That was really good. Yes, it's good.
Performed before a live studio audience. It's good. We have Sean Hollister, senior editor from CNET, joining us today as well, because we wanted to talk about ARKit, which you wrote up, Sean, but then they also released the new Super NES, which I know you're super excited about.
Yep, I've been working on that story down to the minute right now. It's been great.
Excellent. Well, thanks for taking the time to join us. Let's get right to a few tech things you should know about. Waymo has partnered with Avis to store and service its fleet of autonomous minivans in Phoenix, Arizona. Avis owns the Zipcar car-sharing service, so it'll probably be part of that. Not to be outdone, Bloomberg reports documents filed with the Department of Motor Vehicles indicate that Hertz's Donlen fleet management system will lease 6 Lexus RX 450h sport utility vehicles to Apple for self-driving car tests. So the car rental companies are aligning with their major technological partners as we speak.
It's bananas. It feels like it's really happening. It's happening very quickly.
Oh my God, it's happening.
A warning advisory on the Debian.org mailing list highlighted a microcode bug where hyperthreading is enabled on Intel Skylake and Kaby Lake processors. The bug could result in data corruption and data loss, and disabling of hyperthreading is recommended until a UEFI and BIOS update is issued.
Yeah, this probably won't affect a lot of people because you may not do any processing that allows hyperthreading. You may not even have a Skylake or Kaby Lake processor. But if you do, it's something that you should know about. Now, here are some more top stories. YouTube's Uptime iOS app, which lets you watch videos with friends over the internet, is now open to all users. No invite needed. Viewers can make comments and emoji reactions while they watch together. Friends who can't watch in real time can rewatch later and see the reactions comments play out in real time, as if they were there with their friends, even though they're not. Notably, sparkles, which you get by tapping the screen, will only be shown in real time. That's how you know you've got real friends, is if you see their sparkles. App came out of Google's Area 120, which is an experimental lab that Google runs just to come up with ideas like this. I'm curious if either one of you will ever do this.
The watch video with friends? I don't really need to do that. I feel like I'm kind of always watching videos with my friends anyway on Twitter. So that's, yeah, I'm not sure if I really need this, but it might be fun to try.
I'd probably try it out too. What about you, Sean?
Friends? Who needs friends? I've got all the videos to keep me company. It'll work out just fine.
You don't need to watch videos with friends. You've got the videos. That's a good point.
Yes, that's how it works.
Nintendo Super NES Classic Edition launches September 29th. The miniature console plays games over HDMI using 2 wired controllers. It will come with 21 classic games, including Donkey Kong Country, Final Fantasy III, The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, Star Fox and Star Fox 2, and of course, Super Mario World and Super Mario Kart. Europeans get a sleek, curved Japanese Super Famicom design, while the US gets the purple, boxy Super NES for $80.
So I know Star Fox 2 caught your eye, Sean.
Yeah, I think my tweet this morning was just literally Star Fox 2 in capital characters with a link to Nintendo's post, because that game never came out. It's an SNES game that was never released. Nobody's gotten to play it except for some hacked ROM dumps from a while back. And now Nintendo says, hey, nostalgic gamers, you can play a game that's never been seen before on our console. And I'm just wondering, how are they going to possibly make enough of these?
Yeah, the cool thing about this is not just putting out the nostalgia bit, which they'll do well with, as we have seen, but then giving you a little bit of an extra there. I mean, not every console is going to have that level of an extra, but a good move by Nintendo.
That's a good point. It's like it's new, but it's old at the same time. I like that.
Yeah.
My question here is about the availability, though. Like, are they going to make enough these people can actually go out and get one? So with the NES Classic, they didn't. They discontinued it after people were lining up out the doors to try and get these things. They said, no, we're not going to make any more.
Yeah, they're trying very hard to make enough switches. They don't really want a shortage of switches, but my guess is they forecast a certain number of these Super NES Classics, and when they're done selling them, they're done selling them. These they don't seem to care about continuing to make. Veronica, you don't.
Long lines, then. Long lines.
You're not into this, huh?
Yeah, sure. I'm excited about it. I don't need another gaming console. I think I probably have an NES sitting around in my garage somewhere.
It's small.
I'm good.
It doesn't take up a lot of room. All right, let's move on to a less fun topic. The Five Eyes. New Zealand, Canada, the UK, US, and Australia are meeting in Ottawa this week to discuss protecting borders and combating terrorism. That's what they do. Sunday, however, Australia announced it wants to discuss pushing tech companies to give governments more access to secure communications by terrorists. Australian Attorney General George Brandeis, and also a senator, said the discussions will focus on the need to get service providers to ensure reasonable assistance is provided to law enforcement and security agencies. There's not much new to discuss here. This is the same thing as before with countries, and in this case Australia, saying we would like to have access to these conversations, and companies saying, well, we can give you two things. The system as it is now, or we can weaken encryption for everybody but the bad guys, and they will go use something else, and you still won't get to listen to their conversations.
Yeah, I don't see how there's really a good medium here.
Yeah, and the conversation continues as these guys go on. But a lot of times the question is, okay, fine, tech companies, if the reality is that math is math and you can't outlaw math, what are you going to do to help combat terrorism? And we actually have an answer for that today.
Which is what?
Your next story.
Monday, Facebook, Microsoft, Twitter, and YouTube announced the Global Internet Forum to counter terrorism with the purpose of making hosted consumer services hostile to extremists. It says it hopes to foster cooperation with smaller tech companies, civil groups, academics, and governments. A posting on Twitter's blog outlined technological goals like the shared internet hash database, research goals, and knowledge sharing about best practices, including counter speech.
So yeah, I mean, this is a different thing. This is not about surveillance. This is about actually going out and saying, how can we stop people from becoming extremists? How do we stop extremists from getting their message out to potential recruits? And at least my own personal opinion and the opinion of others is this is going to do more to combat extremism because you stop it at the source. You stop it before people get involved in it. Sean,
yeah, we talked about this a lot last.
where do you draw the line, though? Like, where does it stop becoming free speech and starts becoming, this seems like something that's going to become violent extremism?
No, and
how are they going to figure out where that is?
That's an important discussion to debate, because I think we all can look at certain speech and the majority of us agree, yeah, that's recruitment. That is beyond the pale. But you know, where is it just news to show something, and where is it inducement to show something?
Exactly.
And Veronica, you were saying, we talked about this before.
Yeah, we talked about this last Monday, actually, all the steps that Facebook in particular is taking to kind of work around these issues and figure out new solutions.
Yeah. So yeah, in my opinion, you have to set that bar pretty far to the side, but you can do a lot to get people to agree. Like, hey, you can't scream fire in a crowded theater, right? That is one of the classic limits of free speech. So we need to have those conversations about what is allowed here. But I do think not only blocking extremist content, but more importantly, redirecting, which is something that the Jigsaw outfit does, I think is extremely important, to say, hey, even if you see these recruitment videos, here's why you shouldn't pay attention to that message. Like, having a competing positive message is super important.
Yeah, that feels like more of a solution to me overall than a lot of the other technological perhaps solutions that we've heard about in the past. Like really getting into the psychology of it and working it from that angle instead of just trying to, blanket blocking everything they see.
I'm definitely glad that they're working together on this. To hear that there's this coalition to do this instead of just companies individually deciding what's right or wrong, I think that's a good idea.
Finally, a study published in the Information Technologies and International Development Journal examined whether increased connectivity in sub-Saharan Africa has led to increased digital creation. And they're defining digital creation things like software development, website creation. They use domain name registration as a measure of like how many websites are being created in sub-Saharan Africa. The study used academic articles as its measure of comparison. So the idea was, hey, the world should have a more even distribution of digital content now, because connectivity has outpaced the spread of academic institutions in Africa. So academic institutions are about the same as they used to be, but connectivity is way up. Let's compare academic papers to digital creation and see if there's a difference. Well, the study found that actually academic articles were more evenly spread than digital content, which implies that connectivity is a necessary but not sufficient condition for creating content. And so this goes to some of the criticisms. Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg have sort of had a public back and forth about, you can't just fly planes with connections over Africa and call the problem solved. You have to provide creation of income, you have to provide jobs, and you have to provide education as well.
Yeah, but I think connectivity, though, is still a major component of that. And in so many places, the connectivity is still so poor, or access to something like broadband, which obviously makes it even easier, or at the bare minimum, having phone connectivity and having easy access to the internet via cell service, I think is still like a huge factor in this. But yeah, having I guess I'm not really sure I understand the academic paper situation here. Can you kind of dive into that a little bit more? Sure. I don't understand what they're comparing.
The idea is to say, okay, educational institutions have stayed pretty steady. Let's use that as our control group. And let's
What do you mean? What do they mean by steady?
We haven't had a huge increase in the amount of education relative to the huge increase in connectivity.
Okay.
So the different numbers of academic institutions between now and 10 years ago is not nearly an amount of growth comparable to the amount of connectivity that over 10. Like 10 years ago, there was almost no connectivity. Now there's more than 50% connectivity, and academic institutions are relatively a solid line there. Maybe
so they're the control, essentially.
Exactly. So you say, okay, let's look. Academic papers have distributed this much from African sources. How much has digital content creation increased? And they found that even though connectivity has gone way up, digital content creation has not been spread evenly, whereas academic papers are spread more evenly, implying that the connectivity has not caused a boost in software development, website creation, etc.
Okay, interesting. I understand that a little better now.
Yeah, and again, the paper's whole point is not to say connectivity is bad. It's to say, hey, you can't just turn on the internet and then walk away and go, great, problem solved.
Problem solved.
Sean, do you have any thoughts on this?
I'm a big fan of universal internet for everybody. I think it should be a a basic human right, because I think it is a prerequisite, but it is fascinating to me that it's not enough by itself.
Yeah, you have to come in with incubators, which there are more of them now. Nigeria and Kenya particularly have some pretty vibrant startup scenes. South
Funding.
Africa, yeah, funding all over the place. More VCs, not just coming in from outside of countries, but coming from within countries as well, and funds being created. So the steps are happening. It's not to say they're not. Hey, folks, if you want to get all the tech headlines each day in just about 5 minutes to help keep you up, if you feel like, man, I fall behind, go subscribe to Daily Tech Headlines, dailytechheadlines.com. It'll keep you up to date as a podcast, as an Amazon Echo flash briefing, or on the app at anchor.fm. And that is a look at our top stories. All right, so a couple of articles out there today about ARKit, one of which written by our fine guest, Sean Hollister. ARKit, of course, introduced to WWDC. Currently just uses one camera, the primary camera on your iPhone. It's coming in iOS 11, so the only way you can use it right now is in iOS 11 beta. Even on the 6S Plus and the 7 Plus, where you have two cameras, it's only making use of one at the moment. They say eventually they will make use of the other one. But it's doing distance measuring in a way that is really impressive. And in fact, a couple of apps have been released, one by Patrick Balestra, which shows the ability to just use your phone and tap on a couple of points and be able to tell how far apart they are. And another one using a skeuomorphic measuring tape that appears in augmented reality. That one's from Lawn Labs. You can get the first one at aruler.download and the one with the skeuomorphic measuring tape at armeasure.com. These are pretty impressive, Sean, considering that you don't have to buy a Project Tango device. You don't have to put sensors out. It's just using the phone.
That's exactly what I've been saying. First, a correction. Something I actually have to correct in my article. It's only the 7 Plus that has two cameras. The 6X Plus does not have two cameras. That was something they introduced in this past generation. I had to correct that myself in my CNET piece. It's been up as a mistake for a little while now. But yes, this fact that it's just the single camera is a big deal. And a lot of people are like, well, augmented reality's been around for a while with a single camera. You got Pokemon Go. You've got apps that'll, layer on top of the world destinations, restaurant ratings, things like that. But they were very specialized things that companies had to build from the ground up. Specifically, they had to say, I want to build an augmented reality app. They had to figure out how to make it work. And even when they did, it wasn't super accurate. And now Apple's come along with these tools you use, and now anybody can theoretically go out there and build an app that goes into the same app store everybody else uses for these iPhones, with the same phone you've already got in your pocket, most likely, or you're going to get next year when you upgrade. This is a breadth of augmented reality potential that we haven't seen before. Because Google, with its Tango phones, we have to have the specialized sensors in the phones. You got to have a thicker phone. They also have a special section of the App Store. It's not just anybody who just makes one of those things. It's not just anybody who can use those. And Apple comes out here with this technique where now you can, just anybody with an iPhone, do these things. So it is different in that fundamental way that you have the tools and you have the install base.
Well, and I think the impressive thing, Veronica, is that we're seeing, it all sounded good on stage at WWDC and they had a lovely demo, but we're seeing people actually making things now that look like they really work.
Yeah, and frankly, this is like, I can't tell you the number of times I needed to measure something, and I was like, oh, if only there was a good app on my phone that I could measure something. This is the perfect use case for that. I'm actually really excited. I know these are just demos of the tech and not necessarily, the only application of this technology that's going to exist, but it's a good one to start with, that's for sure. The precision that you can use it on and the usability, like as Sean was saying, is really nice.
Yeah, Sean, it reminds me of in the early days of the App Store when the Level app came out and took advantage of the accelerometer, right? Like it's something where it's like, sure, it's kind of limited, but it's an impressive display of what this technology can do.
I think it's very much like that. I think what the Project Tango folks, the Google Project Tango folks always like to say is they see this like GPS. They see this being this fundamental technology that's going to exist in every phone because it's going to be so powerful to have positioning inside of a building, to have look at something and overlay a ruler on top of it, that we should all have this in the future. They thought that meant adding additional sensors, but apparently You don't need ridiculous precision. Apparently, it's not. And so what's really going to be interesting is to see what Google does, because now that Apple has kind of leapfrogged them here with this technology that just measures, the distance between points it's using the camera. So it's machine learning here, computer vision. It's going to be interesting to see if Google has anything to say about that. Are they going to put out a version that only uses one camera? Or are they going to be able to get, is this going to be an enabler for them in that it's kind of doing their marketing for them, and then they can sell more companies on the sensors? I'm not sure.
Yeah. And I'm sure there will be limits to what ARKit can do that will come out, especially once iOS 11 is out for everybody. And I'm sure Google will be one of the first to point out those limits. But one of the big benefits of it is that you can use the ARKit apps on millions of phones. As a developer, your app can go onto millions of phones right now. Nobody has to go out and buy a new phone to take advantage of it, and that's huge. And I would expect Google to come out with something similar, because then you can be on hundreds and hundreds of millions of phones if it works on Android. Veronica, are you looking forward to trying this out?
Yeah, I really am. I've been very bullish on AR as a technology. I think there's going to be a lot of really cool applications, and having it work so seamlessly on iOS devices, I think, is going to be a huge game changer for the industry as a whole, especially if developers have such ease of use in creating applications for it. If you get people excited about developing for the platform and for creating AR applications, and I think we're going to see a huge explosion of different kinds of experimental programs and I mean, why I say and applications, but I mean like applications of this technology, not literal software applications. But I think the level example you gave was a hit the nail right on the head. I think that was a really good example of how you can use like the technology inside of our mobile devices for an external application that is really functional and works really nicely. And I think we're just going to see a lot more of that kind of stuff out there.
Yeah, I mean,
do we think the iPhone will take away the tape in the same way that it's rolled up all these other devices? Don't carry around a camera anymore necessarily. Do we stop carrying around tape measures? Is that something where you don't even need to go buy one?
Maybe. I think maybe for like, pretty simple and laid back kind of measurings. But I think like a serious, more home repair kind of stuff, maybe not. Not yet anyway.
Also, it won't replace hammers to hit the nail on the head. You can level, you can measure, but you're
Depends
not.
on how angry you get at it. Depends on how angry.
You probably shouldn't. Hey, Sean Hollister, thanks so much for joining us, man. I appreciate you taking the time out of what I know is a busy day. Any last thoughts before we say goodbye?
No, I'm good. Thanks very much for having me, and looking forward to doing it again soon.
Go find his article. We'll have a link in the show notes at dailytechnewsshow.com, or just go to cnet.com and take a look. And Sean, if they want to keep up with what you're doing, where should they go and follow you online?
You can do Starfire2258 on Twitter. Yes, that is my handle. STARFIRE2258, or cnet.com. That'll work just fine.
All right. Thanks again, Sean. Appreciate it. Thanks to everybody who participates in our subreddit as well. You can submit stories and vote on them at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. Let's take a quick break and check in with Chris Christensen, who has a little info about how that call spoofer that you may have heard about, who got caught in Florida, got caught thanks to the travel industry.
This is Chris Christensen from Amateur Traveler with another Tech in Travel Minute. I don't know if you've gotten any of these robocalls recently where you're getting a call and it's from your area code and your same prefix. And it's somebody claiming to be TripAdvisor, Expedia, Hilton, Marriott, whatever. There's a lot of them in the travel space. There's other things that are going on with this as well. But a Florida resident was recently fined $120 million for doing these. They made 100 million spoofed robocalls. And the interesting thing about that is it is not only in the U.S. annoying, it is also illegal. It's against the Truth in Caller ID Act. And the interesting thing about this story is that this was not tracked down by the FBI or somebody else, as you might think, but it was tracked down by one of those travel companies. In this case, TripAdvisor had gotten enough complaints from their customers that they did the homework to figure out who these calls were coming from. So kudos to TripAdvisor, and also for whoever wrote the legislation that if you spoof your caller ID, at least in the US, That's illegal. I'm Chris Christensen from Amateur Traveler.
Ah, yes. All the spoofers in Florida now yell, "Run, it's TripAdvisor." when they're busy spoofing. That's amazing. Thanks for sending that in, Chris. We appreciate that. Of course, go check out amateurtraveler.com. A couple messages of the day before we're out of here. Did you hear last week, Veronica, we talked about the Charmin van that you could use an app to call in Manhattan if you needed a toilet?
Oh my God, no.
It's like Uber for toilets.
Oh my God.
Or as Len Peralta drew on Friday, Poober.
Pooper.
Regarding the topic of Charmin Van Gogh, that was the actual name of it, Kome wrote in and said, Charmin also runs a website called sitorsquat.com. It shows the locations of available bathrooms on the map, color-coded by cleanliness reported by users, and it has helped me many times. That said, the locations and comments don't seem to be updated that often. Kome says, if anyone from Yelp is listening, I think this restroom available to customers or not would be a great addition to the business info on Yelp or Foursquare.
Is it not? I thought it was. I had this idea for an app.
Yeah.
I had this idea for an app years ago. I never built it.
See, there's still time. You
No,
can build
there's
it
not.
in AR.
Ugh.
Maybe you
I'm
should.
good. I'm good.
Should probably not do that. And then I don't always share these kinds of notes because sometimes they feel self-congratulatory, but this one was to not just me, but all of us. And I think you as the audience should take a little appreciation of this because you make this show possible. Wes, who is on vacation in the mountains of New Mexico, says, it's been quite a while since I wrote in, but I recently noticed that my 3-year anniversary as a patron happened in May. I can't begin to put into words the good your show has done for me personally and the world in general. DTNS has become one of the fixtures of my life. In fact, when I feel as though I'm missing something, it's usually that I've fallen a little behind on episodes. Thank you for bringing sanity to an often hyperbolic news cycle. Thank you for always having interesting and diverse experts and commentators. Thank you for making a show of genuine quality. And most of all, thank you for going on this adventure and letting me go along for the ride. You are all in my thoughts and prayers. I wish you the very best and continued success. And I hope the next 3 years are just as awesome.
That's very nice.
Yeah. Thank you, Wes. I appreciate that.
Awesome.
It's always nice to be nice, as Gina Trapani says. I don't think he was the first one to say it, but that's who sticks in my mind when I hear it. So thank you, Wes. And thank you, everybody, for joining us along the journey. It's been great. And yeah, we tried to provide a little respite to just talk about tech news. If we get controversial, it's controversial about tech news because that's what we're all here to discuss. Thank you, Veronica Belmont. Of course, IRLpodcast.org is the new show. Anything else to tell folks about that?
Oh, out today. Yeah, you can subscribe anywhere you get your podcasts. We have an RSS feed. You can do it on iTunes, Stitcher. Apparently it's on Spotify, which is awesome. Overcast, Breaker, literally pretty much wherever you get your podcast, it is available. Yeah, so episode 1, All Your Data Are Belong to Us, is out today. I'm really excited about it. I got to, a private investigator dug into my data on the internet. We talked to all sorts of security experts. We talk about companies who are tracking your cookies. It's an interesting episode, and I think they're just going to get better from here now that we've found our voice and know what we're going for. So
this episode is where you find out secrets about Veronica that even Veronica didn't know. Is that right?
Secrets.
IRLpodcast.org.
Yes.
Get the secrets. Also, not only go subscribe, but leave a review, because when you leave a review, that helps discovery.
Please, I ask for those at the end, and doubly, I would appreciate any reviews, good ones especially.
I mean, your review can just go great, but the actual leaving of it with the star rating and everything, that's what helps. So
it's super. Yes.
And thanks to everybody who supports this show by giving a little value back. We do and always have worked on the value for value model. We've never taken an advertisement. We never needed to because you guys were there for us. Big thanks to all of you, including Growly Bear, Tim Catanzarite, and Kevin Metcalf, and many, many, many more at patreon.com/DTNS. Our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. We're live Monday through Friday, 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 2030 UTC at alphageekradio.com and diamondclub.tv. Come join us one of these days. Pop in the chat room from diamondclub.tv and talk along with us. We're also at facebook.com/dailytechnewsshow, and our website is dailytechnewsshow.com. Back tomorrow with Patrick Beja.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Now, Win in the chat room says, like that she's secretly a vampire hunter, but that's not a secret. Everybody knows that.
Everybody knows that's in my name.
Yeah, it's right there. She's at Belmont. Come on.
It's right there.
Didn't need a private investigator for that one.
Nope.
All right. What do we call it?
Let's see.
Tales from Decrypt.
It's still loading for me.
I bless the domains down in Africa.
Oh, that's good. You know I want that.
No load.
Measure twice, ARKit once.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Friends who need friends. Prying five eyes. You cannot all outlaw maths. Raiders of the Lost ARKit. Mo threads, Mo bugs.
ARKit. Got it.
Now you're playing with power. Super classic power. Wait, there was a Star Fox 2. Math is math.
Wait, there was a Star Fox 2?
Swim against extreme. ARKit and the Covenant. An ARKit of the Covenant and of the
Ark of the Covenant. Yeah, I got it.
Classic Warfare. So Snesterday.
There's some good titles in here today.
1+1 is not illegal.
Math is not a crime. Can't outlaw math. Well, you could. You could outlaw math. I don't think it's a good idea, though.
You can only they could limit it as a profession. Only certain people would be taught the sacred workings of mathematics.
What's your favorite, Belmont?
I think I bless the domains down in Africa personally because I love that song.
That is my favorite. Although Measure Twice, ARKit Once is pretty good and main topic related. So I don't know. I don't know which way to go.
Go for Measure Twice, ARKit Once. I think that's your answer. I think you know it in your heart to be true.
Feel it. You know it to be true. You were my father? Wait,
what?
That would be really odd.
Weirdo.
Well, I forgot to level 8, so now I'm levelating, and that gives you more time to vote. If you want to use your rebellion on your hands.
Yes.
I'm a big fan of the Measure Twice, Cut Once.
Yes.
A principle. In reality, I often just cut, no measure, which is a horrible way to do it.
Do you have to cut again later?
I just throw caution to the wind. Yeah, it's called just cut, regret later. That's.
I always measure, but I always cut a little more, just a smidge.
Measure badly, regret later.
I fought the math and the math won.
I fought the math and the math won.
So are they going to? I wonder if they're going to make different versions with more games.
Yes. The answer is that's what they have been doing. Or do you mean different versions of the Super NES?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They didn't last time with the NES. They just put out the one with those games, and that was it. I wouldn't count on it.
You wouldn't hold your breath.
Well, I wouldn't do that anyway. Yeah.
Well, you can't suffocate yourself by holding your breath.
No, the autonomic response kicks in. Unless you are a yogi and can override your autonomic responses.
Except that, you would fall unconscious and your mouth would open.
Would it?
We should try it, Tom.
I don't think I will. I don't think I'll test that.
We'll do a little post-DTNS myth busting.
Yeah. Not a good mythbuster. I mean, I guess you won't die, but I don't really want to deprive my brain of oxygen.
They still love the domains down in Africa.
You like that one because of Josh Lawrence's proclivity to sing that at karaoke.
It's only winning by 1, though. I would need it to be winning by 5 to change my mind. So
I made it equal.
You have already voted for this.
You have voted for this multiple times. Disallow. Disallow.
No. So I guess there's going to be a cardboard cutout of you at Nerdtacular, Veronica.
Cool.
Cool.
Cool. I would have posed for one if they had asked me instead of finding weird pictures on the internet.
There's a company that does that. You just and they'll send you out the standee. And they can scale it. So if it's like the actual Veronica dimensions are maybe too expensive to ship, you could do like a 3/4 size.
What are you saying with that?
That you're multi-dimensional.
Well, if you're too tall, like if you're too tall to ship, I mean, you could
Mm-hmm.
fold it, but would you want to be creased in the middle? Your standee?
No.
Schnago says, Nerdtecular is the only time I see Veronica in real life. Well, this year, it'll be the only time you see Veronica in cardboard. It's going to be cold at night there, too. It's going to be in the 40s. What's that about?
Wow,
It's
it's
like practically July.
Cold. It's been pretty cold up there in the past.
Hey, did you know I did the top 5 moments in iPhone history?
No.
On Tech Republic.
Nice.
Do you want to know what they were, or do you want to actually watch the video? I probably shouldn't tell you.
Do I have to watch the video?
Yeah. I mean, you could probably guess most of them. Antenna gates on there. The announcement of the iPhone.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
But it's magic because I have different hair because it was before I got this haircut.
Oh, magic.
And I'm in Louisville, if you believe the green screen.
That's cool. Louisville's cool.
Louisville's
I've been to
not bad.
Louisville.
Yeah, I've been through Louisville. They have a nice river, a couple bridges. That's all I remember, actually. Need to go back. It's not far from where I grew up, but we never went there as a kid. We always went to Kentucky Lake or Lake Barkley.
Mm-hmm.
Surprised. We went to Indianapolis, which is probably just as far.
Stay for the
I don't know.
sun.
Maybe was it not as fun back then?
Maybe.
Did you see the races?
It's all business. Never saw an Indianapolis 500 race. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Never did. Went to visit the track and did a tour and got in a van that drove us around the track. So that was kind of fun. But that's all. The Brickyard. That's the thing I remember about Indianapolis. They had a really good science museum, the Indianapolis 500, the Speedway. And I stole a towel from the Omni Hotel there once. I think the statute of limitations is over on that. I was in college. I was young. I needed the towels. I lost my place. Where was I?
You were levelating?
No, I'm done leveling. Now I'm uploading. Measure twice, ARKit once. That is the title. Thank you all. Thank you all for voting. Even if we disregarded your vote.
Well, it's tied, so really. I guess it's host discretion at that point.
We don't promise to honor the vote. It's not how this works. We just take the vote as an advisement. You guys are like the House of Lords. We consider your vote, but it's non-binding.
They're a leftover from an earlier day.
Yeah. Also, everyone who votes at showbot.tv wears a powdered wig. At least that's how I imagine them.
Unless you have something against lead, then you can just wear a wig.
Do we go? Oh, fine.
I'm sorry.
Okay. You don't have to whisper. We're not mad at you.
What if I do?
Okay.
All right. I'll see you guys later.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Cool. Now we can talk smack.
Sugar Smacks. We do like to talk cereal on this show.
Nah, I don't like Sugar Smacks. They were never good. They were never good.
Is that okay? SoundCloud just uploaded really fast.
Uh-oh.
I'm like suspicious.
Make sure it's the same size, the file size.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking.
Do. do do do.
No, it's right.
Do 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 do.
All right.
Dun 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 dun.
It's for real.
Dun 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 dun.
I wouldn't have believed it.
I wouldn't have believed my eyes.
Powdered wigs. Just add water.
At one point in my life, I was considering collecting the various breakfast cereals of the world.
Oh, yeah.
But
Isn't there a cereal museum somewhere?
Um,
I know there's like classic cereal. There's like a cereal restaurant in Brooklyn where they serve you unusual cereals.
Kellogg's Cereal City, USA. It's in Battle Creek, Michigan. Nicknamed itself Cereal City. Oh, it's just about the Kellogg's brand. There's a museum of food and drink. MoFad. You've seen MoMA. Come see the MoFad.
You know what they say? MoFad. Mo
money.
Zzz.
The world's first large-scale food museum with exhibits. With exhibits you can eat. Isn't that just a cafeteria?
I like exhibits you can eat though. The difference between a cafeteria is they just like throw some stuff out there, you grab it and pay for it and eat it. An exhibit you can eat. That has ceremony around it.
It's in Brooklyn, New York. So this maybe that's
the restaurant I was thinking of then.
The current exhibit is Chow, making the Chinese American restaurant. Chow celebrates the birth and evolution of Chinese American restaurants, tracing their nearly 170-year history. Wow, 170 years in the U.S. Sparking conversation around immigration, cultural identity, and what it means to be American. So it's weird because so many foods that people consider to be Chinese are very uniquely American.
Well, a lot of U.S. ethnic food is an adaptation of the actual food. I don't think hamburgers are actually German, are they?
Yes, they are, but it's not served the same way.
Right.
Like putting it between pieces of bread was kind of
like similar to Chinese food, but it's not really the same.
Outwardly, in that it's cut and cooked in a wok, but the ingredients are like what? Anything that's any sauce that's day glow is not Chinese. Fortune cookie, very not Chinese. Of course, the chop suey and the mugu gai pan, all that is very not Chinese. They cooked what's old.
Yeah. Bok choy is not Chinese broccoli. It's its own thing.
Yeah, it's its own vegetable, but they call it that.
Yeah, but there's nothing broccoli about it.
I don't know why they do it. Maybe it's so...
Like, daikon is often called daikon, even though calling it a Chinese radish would be closer. Like, that actually is pretty... Like, oh, yeah, that's very radish-like once you've chopped it up, especially.
You know what? Whatever moves product. Oh, if we call it Chinese broccoli, we sell more. Like, bok choy perhaps was a little too exotic.
Yeah, I suppose.
It's just like a limp... It's like a limp cross between a celery and a spinach.
Paul Spain from New Zealand emailed. Did you see that?
Yes, I saw that. I didn't want to reply because we're in the middle of the show.
Oh, yeah. But we should reply once we're done.
Yes, I was going to say yes to him.
Ooh, he's got a YouTube video in his signature now. That's pretty impressive.
Oh, nice.
Him doing a TV interview.
On TVNZ. TVNZ.
Breakfast. TVNZ breakfast.
You know, I don't like those terms. You're doing something that says breakfast in it, you better be eating. Or at least give me something to eat. It's like saying news at lunch. Or dinner news. Like you have TV dinners, you have news dinners. Oh, maybe that could be a restaurant theme.
TV breakfast, TV dinner. There's been a TV dinner restaurant. There must have been. I feel like I've heard of that.
It would tie in with the news. Like, oh, this is the morning breakfast show, so we're serving brunch and breakfast. Oh, this is a lunch hour, so we're,
Well, wait a minute. That's just a restaurant, Roger. That's
But see, isn't
hard to
that
do that.
ingenious? You wouldn't have to spend as much. I mean, you could just repurpose a lot of things.
That's funny. I've got this great idea for a restaurant. During the morning, we'll serve breakfast, and at midday, we'll serve lunch.
You have breaking news, snacks,
So you're just saying you make the restaurant's theme around
news. The
Yeah.
news cycle, 24-hour news
All
cycle.
right. That's fair. Well, folks, thank you all for joining us. We are going to move along now. There's nothing to see here anymore, but I hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll see you